Today, I'm going to be cosplaying as another world champion, Joshua Schmidt, because I'm going to be playing frogs at locals. Yes, that's right, you heard it here. Today, Jesse Kotton is the one playing frogs, but it's not Paleozoic. Instead, I'm going for something different. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game about having fun after all, and with Bahamut Shark being banned, I thought, how can I still summon totally awesome while also still keeping things interesting? And that's when I had the idea, what about Primite Frogs? And the idea here is simple. It's that you have plenty of level 2 Aqua normal monsters that you can summon off Primite cards that convert into Totally Awesome. And then I get to play Frogs. I get to play Totally Awesome and all those cards, which are cool. Even I think that. It's not exclusive to Josh. Now, this deck may not be the most competitive thing in the world, but it honestly doesn't seem that bad. So I should have a ton of fun while still being able to win a good number of matches. And after all, Yu-Gi-Oh, as I said, not all about winning. Sometimes innovation must prevail. So let me show you guys a couple of the key concepts with this deck. Okay, so obviously we've got Totally Awesome here. I'm not going to do a deck profile because I figured that'd be kind of pointless. I'll do instead a mini tutorial for combos, I guess. And with the deck profile, I'm going to have the PDF download link in the description box below. Keep in mind though that as any other human player, sometimes you can't find every card, so my deck list could probably be perfected a little bit more, as well as this is a fun deck. I'm not testing it crazy, so don't read too much into my ratios. That being said, how does this deck work? Well, Toad is the star here, and if you've lived under a rock for whatever reason and don't know what this card does, let's give it a quick read. So Toad is a rank 2 Aqua requiring 2 level 2 Aqua types, so it is not necessarily easy to summon. Now, before you'd summon this with Bahamut Shark or with level 2 Frogs, like it was designed to be made, or Paleozoics, I guess, as well. That's the way Josh would do it. But we're not Josh. It has several effects, all of which being rather good. In fact, this card, if it came out in modern times, would still be considered one of the best cards around. So firstly, during the standby phase of either player's turn, you can detach material, special summon from the deck yard any frog monster. That's pretty solid, but doesn't end there, because once per turn, during either player's turn, you can send an Aqua from your hand of field to the graveyard, including itself, to negate any card effect your opponent activates. You can destroy it, and then afterwards, if you want, you can steal it and set it face down. So this is an Omni Negate that negates everything. And then if they use the card that you can use, or you don't want it in their graveyard, you can take it. So like if they triple tactics talents you to bait out the Toad, they better damn kill you, because while they may force it out, they have to give you the talents. And oh, I'm sorry, it doesn't end there. Because also, when Toad goes to the graveyard, and from anywhere, you can add back any water monster from the graveyard to your hand, including itself. So this card is truly one of the strongest cards I've ever read and ever made. So despite the rest of this deck not getting anything new in years, and in fact getting things banned, if anything, Ronin Toad not being a legal card in the TCG, this card is still nuts and this deck is still functional because this card is so good. If other archetypes had a card like this, game would be much different. And I don't want to downplay how broken this card is, because oftentimes you don't even get to see the full extent and power of this card because it's used with Bahamut Shark in non-Aqua decks. So you don't get to send other cards besides Toad. You don't get to summon from the deck in the standby phase. You really don't get to experience the full power that is Totally Awesome. How does this kind of work? How do we get Totally Awesome out? Well, the idea is to use Primite cards. I got for my prize card deck still here. Say I open up Primite Lordy Load. We can add from an deck to hand Primite Roar. Primite Roar says pay 2 life points and declare a monster's name, or a normal monster's name, and if I control no monsters, I can special summon it from the deck. So I can get Slime Toad out, which used to be called Frog the Jam for all you Yu-Gi-Oh historians out there. And I kind of identify with this guy, you know? I don't look like him for real. I'm the real life Slime Toad. Next, I'm going to use the effect Lordy Load, the other effect, where I can declare a normal monster's name and special summon from the deck a monster with that name. But then for the rest of the turn, I cannot use said monster, or I cannot use monster effects from the field, or special summon monster effects. I think, actually, now that I've learned this deck a little more, I probably would play 2 different monsters. So Psychic Kappa is the other one you can play, or Puru Turun or something. Just because this card gives you a buff on all your Primites and Normals for every different normal monster in your grave. When you have 2 of the same, you lose out on a free buff. And let's not act like this card is particularly strong. It is the biggest level 2 Aqua, but 700 isn't really, you know, doing much. So yeah, so you get 2 out, and then, wow, look at that combo. That was very hard. Yeah, so these are obviously very good. But now the thing you may wonder is, oh, but if you draw Barrel Dragon, how does this work? Because if you go Barrel Dragon, you set a card face down, you set Load, you use Load, and you get Roar. You can't use Roar because you have a monster in field. But remember, Barrel has this effect that you almost never use in Blue Eyes, so people don't remember it. You can send it from field to grave to dump a normal monster from deck to graveyard. Then in the same position, you call Slime Toad, Uno, Dos, and same thing. So that is the general idea of this deck. And then your other way to get a 1-card Toad out is one that Sprite would incorporate, and it uses actual frogs. And that's why we still play frog cards in this deck, and still get to use its effect special summon from the deck. And that is, when Swap Frog gets summoned, or you summon it off whatever, you can send from deck to graveyard your Ice Barrier monster of all things, Mirror Mage of the Ice Barrier, which, when it goes to the graveyard, lets you add from deck to hand an Ice Barrier card, including your Freezing Chains, which has a lot of text that effectively just says, revive an Ice Barrier from the grave. So we're going to revive this back. And now our Swap Frog is also 1 card into Totally Awesome. That's cool. So for those who don't know what Swap Frog does, besides the fact that it can send a guy from deck to grave on summon, you can discard a water to special it from hand, giving you a good follow-up, as well as it has this other effect that is always like this secret effect that people forget about, and that is you can return a or you can return a monster from your field to the hand to give you an additional normal summon this turn for a frog monster. The additional normal summon part doesn't come up that often, because you can't actually normal swap. It has to be a different one, which in my deck is only Dupe Frog. But what you can do is you can bounce back cards, even if you have nothing to normal summon. So say I stopped their turn with a Saronir. I could go Swap Frog, return this to my hand. Or if I go Magnamut, I can do the same thing and get the effect again. I can do other cool plays, where when I have Ether Barrel, I could, instead of sending it to the graveyard, return it to my hand with Swap Frog's effect. And what that would do is that would give me a Primite Drill Beam live by revealing the Ether Barrel. Now before, how would Drill Beam be live if I have to overlay my normal monster? Well, Toad can go to grave for its effect to steal their monster. When it goes to grave, add back a water, you add back your Slime Toad that was material, and you can reveal this from your hand. So the deck flows together, honestly, pretty well. And despite the fact that I'm playing random vanillas and Dupe Frogs in my deck and Ice Barriers, I got a cohesive strategy that summons Toad. And that's all we're going to do today. We're going to be totally awesome. Summon Toads, use Primite, summon some Frogs. That's the deck. And I'm excited to deal with it. So let's head to locals. Now, before we head into our locals review, if you guys enjoy totally awesome decks like this, then please make sure to subscribe and like, as well as comment down below what other awesome deck ideas you guys have, because Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not always about being uber competitive. If you guys have any cool ideas, any cool synergies and such that you want to see me explore and my own takes, then get comments down below. Let me know what it is. And usually I do this more for Master Duel, but exploring something different in the TCG is fun too. And of course, Totally Awesome is banned in Master Duel. It's the only place I could do it is right here, physical cards. All right, so we are at locals. Today we are at New Realm Games. And like always, if you guys are watching this video and see anything that can be improved by either player, please make sure to keep everything respectful. Learning is welcomed, and I don't mind pointing out misplays from either behalf, mine or my opponents. Make sure you do so without attacking the player. Rather, construct on what the players can differently and why. Reasoning why is also important, and a big difference between just an insult and constructive criticism. But with that being said, what happens here? So I'm able to win the roll in our first round, and I do know my opponent is on Blue Eyes, not because of the map, but because we've seen them at locals before. But okay, we can see that we have started off with a hand of Swap Frog, Dupe Frog, Slime Toad, Ether Barrel, and Effect Veiler. And yeah, this hand is pretty solid. So I have a way to end here on 2 Toads and a Drill Beam with Effect Veiler, which is pretty good. So what am I going to start with? Well, I can start with Barrel Dragon, get Load, and then get Drill Beam. So Drill Beam is going to be good for some disruption, but I'm going to turn it off pretty quickly by going Swap Frog, discard Slime Toad, because if I do that, I know I'm losing the vanilla in my hand, but I do have a way of still making it alive. I can send a Mirror Mage from deck to grave, add my Freezing Chains to revive, but before I make the Toad, I can use the Swap Frog to return to my hand the Ether Barrel, which turns on the Drill Beam and gives me follow-up. Then also gives me an extra normal summon with Swap Frog. So I can also summon the Dupe Frog now, and I control 3 level 2 Aquas. Then I can use Load to summon a 4th Aqua, summon the 2nd Slime Toad, make 2 Totally Awesomes, and good to go. The Drill Beam is still alive without needing Toad to send anything off. But that speaks as if I don't get hand trapped. So let's see how things play out in real life. So yeah, I start off with Barrel, as I mentioned, and opponent tries to Ash Blossom here, and I have to tell them that this is not allowed, but they have Veiler anyway, so it still gets stopped. I follow up instead with Swap Frog, use the effect to send from deck to grave, and then I send a Mirror Mage from deck to grave to continue on with the play. I use the effect to add from deck to hand, and they decide not to stop this. If they ashed here, It would have stopped the Toad from being playable from their perspective. They didn't know that I still would have been able to return their barrel to the hands and normal summon the Dupe Frog. I probably would have ashed this from my opponent's perspective. They maybe just didn't know. It's likely that they're not sure what the Frog cards do, what Totally Awesome does. To be fair, if you don't know what Totally Awesome does, you're going to see this board and think, who the hell cares what happens here? But yeah, no, something crazy is going to happen. Bounce back the barrel so I get follow-up. Obviously, if it's in the grave, it's not bad either, but more importantly, you actually do need the extra summon. I get to make Totally Awesome. I'm going to end there with just the Toad. So the Veil there actually does keep me off of both Drill Beam and a second Totally Awesome, which is pretty crazy, but it's not going to be the end of the world. I'll keep the Freezing Chains in hand because it's good follow-up, better so than the Dupe Frog. And I get ashed on my Toad Touch from the deck, which isn't a huge problem. Wishes then comes down, and that's an easy negate for Toad. That stops a lot of momentum. Discard on Jet Dragon is a bit scary. Reborn then comes down, and Reborn stealing my Toad actually would have been pretty good. Opponent Reborns Jet Dragon instead and just attacks. Reborning Toad, I could have dealt with, but still would have been a negate for my opponent. With them just passing back, I draw, and I am really set to go. I think I draw Drill Beam for turn, and I already have the barrel in hand, so I'm just super chilling. I banish the Jet Dragon first, knowing there's probably not an Imperm there, and then I normal the barrel, set the load, and then I can reset Drill Beam. And this is where the deck is like any other Primite deck. It spirals out advantage really fast, and it's not just the Primite cards that do the advantage, right? It's also the slime cards here, because I'm going to get access to another copy of Totally Awesome. I use Freezing Chain to revive, and then I use Lordly Load, special from deck, or from the grave rather, because I want to keep on the deck for Roar. I make Totally Awesome again, and just swing for 38. And here I'm just chilling. Now, one thing to note is I did steal his wishes. Why did I steal his wishes instead of letting go to the grave? Well, remember, it does have a graveyard effect, so I don't want the graveyard effect to be live, and I feel like it is better on my field. My field space can be a little bit of a problem because the Freezing Chains also occupies the space, but I'm not really concerned. At this point, he only has a couple cards in hand to my Toad, my Veiler, my Drill Beam. It should not be a big challenge. I use Toad to steal a Sage. I sack off the Swap Frog. That way I don't have to get rid of the Toad. Standby Phase comes back. Primite brings back the Slime Toad again. I normal summon another Swap Frog. And yeah, Toad again. Game. Super simple. Not really much has to be done there. That's the nature of this deck. It's just kind of powerful cards slowly ripping your opponent to shreds. Now, going into the side deck against Blue Eyes, there isn't too much here for me to side. My deck is already filled with Bestials, and I chose not to side Ogre. I think Ogre would have been not a bad side deck for decks like Blue Eyes, but still, I decided to put in some back row removal in case that I can deal with the True Light as well as the Majesty. Because at the end of the day, my deck's ability to play through fields isn't going to be a lot. Frogs can't do that much. I have Zeus, but it's not like I'm making Zeus with the ease of Sprites. Or Hurley, I'm like normal summoning Swap Frog, getting my one Freezing Chains. And if I use Lordly Load to make Zeus, then I can't use his effect that turn. So yeah, it's not great. Drill Beam is probably my best board breaking card, and that one is fantastic, but it is like my only board breaking card. So I will rely on non-engine a fair bit in a lot of these games when I go second. Let's see how we fare with this deck. Start of our second game, our opponent starts with Wishes immediately, and this is an immediate Ash on our end. This should be a no-brainer. Ash should be used almost exclusively against Wishes in this deck. You just keep your opponent off Maiden. That's like the name of the game versus Blue Eyes. I'm going to press this forward with equipping with the Wishes here, and I'm not sure why they play Blue Eyes Ultimate over Neo Blue Eyes. It might just be like a preference of that card. But they drop the Tyrant and then pass play over to me, which is super chill. I don't have a problem dealing with Tyrant. It's going to be a little bit of a concern. In the end phase, I drop Magnamut. We're getting one Blue Eyes. And with the Roar already gone, and Roar being a one of most people decks, you can actually just Bestial your opponent on their second Blue Eyes, and they oftentimes have no way getting it back, which winning the game by itself. But Ether Barrel is a fantastic card, so I decided to go for that instead and get into Enogen. I set the barrel and search. Now, one problem with Primite Roar is it also conflicts with Bestials, so I wouldn't be able to search that here anyways. I did draw off the top a Primite Ether Barrel anyways, so I ended up not being too important, I think. Still, I'm not concerned. I summon Slide Toad from the deck, and you can do like another play and still just make IP. And with the Bestials, this does make SP on the opponent's turn, so it's like, even though it don't get done Toad here, like this play is completely fine. I'm playing a value game. I have no problem chilling and waiting. I have hand traps. Tries to go battle phase, and I'm just going to IP in main phase 1, SP this away. And yeah, this baits it, but it's still a body off his field. There's a world where instead I'm supposed to SP banish the Blue Eyes in his grave and cut it off, let him attack. He just passes here, and this game kind of runs away. I draw Swap Frog, or just Substitute here, not Swap Frog. And I forget to add back barrel because I get so excited, which is a bad excuse, but yeah. I use Subs the Toad and opponent tries the Droll, but this one doesn't add. I use Mage to add the Freezing Chains, and then Droll comes down. At this point, Toad is eminent. Again, to save the Freezing Chains, I just use Lordy Load to revive. It doesn't mean that my Toad cannot negate on my turn here, so if I get nibbed, then it's a problem. Not that he can nib me in this position, but any other hand traps. So Toad, SP is 38. Again, can't kill, but pass back. I have the Toad. I have the Drill Beam still. I have SP. He has 2 in hand. I have follow-up. This is a clear-cut case of just raw advantage and grind game crippling the opponent. You see, I have Valor and Nib in the hand, so I'm like, SP chain Valor. I still have 2 Omnis to his 1 card. Like, it's brutal. SP comes back, but then in the standby phase, Toad special from deck, again, Ascend. And here I can go for a triple Toad, which is really funny. I don't think I end up doing it. Do I? Yeah, I don't go for double Toad because I don't want to play into Nibiru, which is a bit of a shame. But I could have gone for the triple Toad, and there's Nibiru in his hand. So me being flashy, it would have been hilarious. But yeah, I mean, Toads multiply like rabbits, and you can see how this energy of the Primite really pans off to a pretty aggressive grind game deck. All right, round number 2, and we are up against Memento. So I'm pretty sure I know what my opponent's playing at all times during this locals, because small locals, and you start going to the same place over and over again, you pick up what people are on. But yeah, I'm up against Memento here, and obviously versus this deck, going second is going to be rough. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm playing a rogue deck here. My opponent has access to all the full Memento disruptions. I'm going to be scrambling. But that's what hand traps are for, right? And I play a large suite of them. I roll a nice low number, and I think it was Snake Eyes. And I have to go second. And I look at my hand, and I have nothing. No hand traps here. So my deck is not well equipped for board breaking. So it is kind of rough. And I do play Talents for hand traps. And I think I do Drill Beam as well. So in theory, I have like some ability to play through boards. But it's not great. And if my opponent's board is more than nothing, or more than like a little bit, I will struggle. Here, at least my opponent did draw Gaddock, so you can see the play starts off a bit weird. And when your opponent starts off with anything but Gaddock off their Goblin Send or Tatsuno Tushigo Send, you should kind of know that there's a Gaddock in their hand. You can see that they pop it, so it was there. But still, with no hand traps, I can't like prevent any of this. I'm still going to get mollywopped, and they get to cycle through all their Memento cards in a pretty efficient fashion. So cycling back every card they want. Gaddock still triggers now, and then they can keep going. They still have the Memento Fusion effect to pop. And let them keep searching. So Memento does take a while to play, so we'll just fast forward through this real quick and get to the end pieces. All right, so we finally reached the end of the turn, and we should know pretty much everything we're up against here, besides any potential hand traps. There's SP and Bamboozling Gossip Shadow as far as monster interrupts go. So they can negate one monster effect and give us a draw in return. They can SP tag something out. As well as they have set Bone Party and Memento Fusion, unless they set some different card from their hand. And they combine Creation. So this looks deceptively like not that much. And a lot of players play like Memento Traps in order to give yourself more power. But truthfully, this is more than enough. Because this deck, with all its recursion and on-summon effects, do quite a lot with its summon spells, including Bone Party in the opponent's turn. Because you can summon off the Fusion spell, summon off of Bone Party, off Combined Creation, and you get access to the Armed Dragon effect to pop, or the Horned Dragon, sorry, pop 2 cards you control, and then the big Fusion monster can pop any number of cards you control up to the number they control. So they can get up to 4 if they even need to. So that being said, they have roughly 2 board wipes on top of what they have here. They all get follow-up while doing so, because they search cards and refill the grave for Combined Creation. That's not to say even that beyond that, they might be able to fuse another time for Guardian Chimera with Memento Fusion if they have enough monsters in hand. So they have a great level of removal, not negation, but removal, and then some other subsidiary stuff and good follow-up. So Memento, while maybe like doesn't look like a crazy end field here, this is incredibly hard to beat. So start off with Loaded Load to get access to Drill Beam, and Drill Beam is my way of checking some of the set cards there. The best cards in this deck are pretty much the spell, so Drill Beam can be used on a spell to try and keep me alive. Now the other thing that can be used on is Combined Creation. So the issue with combine creation is, yes, if you banish it, that's great and seems good, but if they get back Akihiron, which is incredibly easy to do, and then pop it, then they get to get it back. So unless you can banish both Akihiron and combine creation, it doesn't actually solve the problem. I talent a steal here to try and force out some disruption, hoping to maybe change SP, banishes combine creation, and then I can still Gossip Shadow or something else. Opponent does not bite though, and kind of lets me take. And this is what he should do in a lot of these cases where things are hard for the opponents, because yeah, Talents is fantastic here. It deals with multiple disruptions. I need to deal with more than just like 2 or 3. I need to deal with everything. I see about combine creation because I will force the interaction points when I enter battle phase, because that kills all of its disruption if that's to go through. But also cuts off Mace being a problem, and I can do something with it later if I need to. I can turn it to Typhon or whatever. Opponent goes for the Bone Party to try and pop the Armed Dragon and then clear my field. But obviously that's a problem, because as well as on top of that, popping the Armed Dragon or the Horn Dragon, it turns on Memento Fusion's effective fuse from the graveyard, and then make the fusion to pop my cards again. That is a Drill Beam, which would force the fusion to fuse from the hand, which is a little bit good. This does mean that the Drill Beam turns on SP, which could be a problem because that guarantees some follow-up with SP and Combine Creation coming back. But yeah, my opponent could also just Chain Fusion here and keep playing that way if they can. So my opponent also does Bone Party in main phase, specifically knowing they may need to Chain Fusion. Decided to Chain Fusion here instead, keep the SP up, which I think is fine. I'm not fully sure yet, but yeah, they're big chilling. By fusing 2 from the hand, they get to make the Twin Thunder Dragon, to pop their Horn Dragon, and keep summoning. So what they're looking for here is to get Sleepy. Sleepy here is fantastic because it fuses on my turn. It's pretty much anytime they can summon it, and we'll let them summon the big Memento Fusion to pop again, like I said, which is a problem. Even though they didn't get to fuse from the grave, they have enough cards that it's fine. Then without even using that here, they clear my field with the Horned Dragon to pop. So now they still have the SP, still the Gossip Shadow. Akihiron comes back as well, and then at some point they'll fuse later. Back off the field spell, and the Akihiron, they have 2 monsters. The Sleepy can fuse just fine. The Sleepy will fuse with the Gaddock and the guy in hand as well, and then the Gaddock will come back. And you can see here how they'll have 4 monsters when the fusion hits the field, so they can pop up the 4 cards if they need to. Akihiron will get follow-up, they'll fill the graveyard. Gaddock will get follow-up, it's not a problem. Substitute gets negated with Gossip Shadow, which truthfully did not need to be negated, but yeah, because the draw, if anything, is more impactful. I do it to bait the draw, see if they give me a draw of Gossip Shadow that gets me out of it. I'm not sure what I could have drawn, but, you know, may as well try. It was nothing, so I do lose, but yeah, it is hard. I sided my Solemns, though, sided some Bestials, because they're not great versus Memento. I could argue they're poor, if anything. They're not unplayable. If you can hit a Gaddock, it's nice, but it's only good early. It's not great in extension. There's not that many Darks in the deck. There's no lights. And again, Akihiron can recycle things from the manage pile, so it's not like it's a you lose this resource forever type thing. It's more so slow them down or try to choke them. Which when the Bistrals do, they can. It's good, but it's not as good as the games where Bistrals both choke the opponents out of playing that turn and cut off further resources in the future. Heading to the next game here, I do draw access to our Primite package, which is awesome. I can start off with searching a Primite Roar, which is going to be an immediate Toad. I throw down the Roar special from the deck. Ironically here, if I got Fuwood, I would have blown. Roar doesn't have to summon, so I probably would have just not summoned at all, give my opponent 0 draws and pass. But I get to make Toad here, and I'm not sure what the camera's doing. I must apologize. Having a hard time focus on the ugly mug of Slime Toad. Make Totally Awesome, and set 2 cards face down and chill. So I think I have Drill Beam in hand, which is pretty good. Start off with the Toad in standby phase. My opponent chains with Forbidden Droplet, sending 1 from hand to the graveyard. Now, because they're the monster, I can only respond with traps and spells, but Drill Beam can't stop it. I have to wonder, do I want to Drill Beam this? Do I want to Drill Beam this, or do I want to let the Toad get negated? I decide I'd rather just Drill Beam this. The Toad is still not going to negate the same thing. It doesn't banish, but it still gets me summon off Toad. And because I don't have any access to frogs, I want to get the Dupe Frog out to give me good protection. Now, I summoned the 2 frog instead of a swap frog because it blocks attacks. Obviously, it still floats. And I don't plan on sending anything besides the Toad away. The thing is, if I send the Toad, it is weak to Call by the Grave, but I decide I don't want to play around it. It starts off with Dark Blade and uses the effect to special from the deck. My opponent does the play that I talked about in my last Locals vlog, where he doesn't discard, knowing that he's weak to Imperm, and does get Impermed. Chains Bone Party, but I kept the Toad to negate the quick play spell that dodges the Imperm. So I decided to use the toad as a mechanism to stop this. Here, I'm just debating if I want to play into Cobble the Grave and send Dupe Frog, but I decided no, I need access to frogs. So I'd rather just sack that off. Add back my Slime Toad, and we press forward. Opponent does have Horse, though, which is super rough to see. They had multiple extenders, which they didn't have any hand traps, to be fair, but also didn't play into Valor. I guess they could have imprimmed Toad still, which may be a reason to save the Drill Beam. Now they get to Memento combo, and unfortunately I don't have any hand traps. They do know one of my cards, the Prime card, I revealed off Drill Beam. And I drew Talents again this game, but my opponent didn't hand trap me, so Talents was dead. Unfortunately, that does mean that I actually am out of interruptions here. Memento from this position can kill, especially as I'm down 2,000 life points. So this should be kind of a game over. It's important, though, not to concede at this position, especially when you're down a game. You have no reason to really scoop. The game is like, you lose the match anyways if you concede. Not like you have anywhere to be in theory. Because if your opponent thinks you have a hand trap in hand, they may play differently, right? Or they make a mistake or a blunder. They can be caught off doing a play that is wrong. So in this position, my hope here is that he plays around Nibiru in a way that stops him from killing me. There are ways to surely kill me through Nibiru, but if my opponent does make the mistake, then awesome. They get to the big fusion monster here, and like this point, they have plenty of resources to kill me. Even if they don't play around Nib here, just something Combined Creation and then popping my Dupe Frog will be 3k plus 5k, so 8,000. And that's not even counting for the 2,000 paid off Roar. It should be easy, but again, I'm not going to concede until they go for it, because if they're scared of Nibiru, I might live. Yeah. Decided to pop 2 here. They used the field spell to revive, Akihiron to revive. They cleared off some bodies here, so that's great. Back Akihiron and Anguich. Yeah, and they get to search off of the Anguich now, and then keep going from there. So get Mace, which is going to be some disruption. That brings back Goblin now. They pop back to Huron. They get back the Bone Party, or the Memento Fusion. Sorry, but yeah, they get a lot. But here they start popping off their own cards, and it deprives them a little bit of damage. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is fine. This plus Combined Creation is only 57, so that helps. Combined Creation gets summoned here. So this play doesn't actually play around Nib. I don't think, at least. I don't think they have enough to do it twice. Do they? They might have just enough, actually, to Combined Creation twice. But yeah, they get to summon that out and swing for 58 with the Artemis. And that's not enough to kill me. So, like, okay, I have a chance here. Obviously, I did lose a lot of my resources, but I have Slime Toad in my hand. I have the Swap Frog added off Dupe Frog as well. I don't recall what I drew for turn, but I have a little bit of hope. I'm just reading my effect of Primeval Roar here. See if a Graveyard effect will come in use, but it's not. Nothing's going to be summoned with less attack than a Slime Toad. Special Swap Frog, get the effect off. I'm going to try build it back up into a Toad, sending the Mirror Mage. Combined Creation comes back out, though, which can revive anything. There's the Armed Dragon back. I know they have Mace in hand as well, so this is going to be rough. I'm just trying to play, hoping that my opponent messes up somehow. If I get a Toad up, maybe they lose all their interaction points to the Toad. Oh, I had Talents. I did have Talents, yeah. So the Talents steal is what I want to do. So again, stealing Combined Creation turns off Mace, and then forces... Oh, I drew a Drill Beam for turn, I think, is what I did. Yeah. Okay, so now I get to Drill Beam the Bone Party. That's what it is. So now Memento Fusion has to fuse from hand. But you're going to see it's still not enough. You can do the same play as game 2. So I have to... I try to keep playing here. I try to get to a Totally Awesome. And I think what I try to do here is get to Toad plus Typhon. Now, I can't activate the Lordy Load in my hand that I drew for turn, or the Drill Beam. I can't remember which one I drew. Because if I play that, then at that specific opponent time, then I won't be able to use Drill Beam. My opponent does use the Bone Party here, so I can Drill Beam preemptively. But it's still not going to be enough, because they get the Chain Diffuse here. And you see they're going to explode onto the field. Twin-Headed Thunder comes out, effect to pop itself. They can grab the Sleepy, as mentioned, which is the really important one, and Gaddock. Or they already had Gaddock and Grave, maybe, or Anguich. I mean, Sleepy and Grave. They trigger Akihiron and the Twin-Headed Thunder Dragons. They bring back Akihiron and brings back Anguich. But Anguich can search Sleepy. So, yeah. Oh, did he trigger the field spell? Oh, field spell got Sleepy. Okay. Same thing. Yeah. So then summon out Sleepy. You could also add it from deck and then summon it that way, but now he gets to Sleepy Fuse. He gets to Fuse 3 for Combined Creation. or the big fusion guy. I actually don't know the name of the card. Yada comes back. Yada gets to add from grave. He also gets to send off of the big fusion still, so fills his graveyard with more nonsense. Mind Creation will come back like super easy next turn. And he's going to be able to pop all 4 cards here, like no problem. Effect, target all 4 and all 4 of my cards. And that does mean he gets his follow-up back. And then Akihiron adds back as well. So now it's like, well, I have to deal with all this follow-up. CP dumps as well. Yeah, I mean, it's just so chalked. It's infinite like follow-up at this point. I have just load in hand. He knows that I have to deal damage to kill him. It's just not possible. I have to pry my cards, and that's it. So I'm going to try. Like, I get a card to my hand. Set off of, or I set another load for follow-up. I reset Drill Beam. I attack. I'm like, this looks less dire than it is, but, like, I'm not going to hit around like this game is over. I make Typhon just to stop Mind Creation's effect. Mind Creation, though, is a summon condition from the grave, so this doesn't stop from coming back. This just stops its effect on the field, which, like, isn't that important, but it's more than nothing, so I try. Normal Select Blade, target the Drill Beam, I'm forced to chain, but, like, I'm just dead, so... opponent chains Bone Party as well. I'm like, I don't know why I'm even playing at this point. I very much know I'm dead. I'm at, like, 200 life as well. Yeah, I'm like, why am I playing this game? I just handshake and concede. So, 1-1. Toad is unable to win here. 0-2 in this game is kind of rough. I'm not sure if I could have played better there. His hand was pretty solid. So it's the weird thing, because my deck is like not a very high ceiling deck, hand traps kind of suck against me. Ironically, them having more extenders is better for them. So this is one of the decks where having all that engine, that push, really makes a big difference. Memento has cooked us. Heading into round number 3. And my opponent is playing Crystron. And now, they did tell me before the match, this is their first time playing the deck. So, let's go. I am, however, a little more experienced because my last video I played against them, I learned what they did, as well as you guys in the comments told me some key tricks about them. So, we are going to be more experienced against Crystrons here. I can explain more about things my opponent maybe could have done a little differently, as well as what I could have done. So, I lose the roll here, and my opponent starts off with the Crystron Inclusion, which is one of the best starters. And then I hold off what I have for this Sulfenir here. The Sulfenir would be one of the best cards. Not Sulfenir, whatever that card is. I Ash it in case you already have one in hand. And hopefully that puts him at bay a little bit. He thinks for a moment before normal summoning the Smyger from his hand, which will let him search a card in the grave. He puts it in the grave by making Clockwork Knight, just a simple link 1, and then builds up into SP, or searches first, but then he's going to build up an SP. He searches the Crystron cluster, so he's going to have the pop there. And then he makes SP, and he's chilling. So, not a huge field, but this deck thrives on its good follow-up. And then Simplistic Destruction. So, it's still something I have to deal with. And obviously, my opponent's hand wasn't brilliant by any means either. So, they pass back over, and it is our turn. I start with Load expecting this to get negated by or popped by a cluster. But it resolves, so I had Drill Beam, which will now pin down the cluster for the rest of the turn. And I have to make sure that I also keep a target in hand for it to be alive. A normal summon a barrel, and I use the effect, also expecting this to be tagged up by SP, but being okay with that. I set another Drill Beam face down. I can keep one in my hand if I need to, so I can use it in the end phase against the cluster. So I can't go end phase to snipe anything. And that should keep my bases covered. Considering nothing happened here, I'm like, okay, I'll just play a nice slow game. I'm going to make Typhon, attack over this SP, and clean up a little bit. It's nothing impressive here, but it is just going to be relying on non-engine and slow game. Oh, I had talents here. Right, so I used the effect of Typhon to try bait the SP, which it works. Then he hits the talents, look at his hand. I forgot I have that. So the idea here is try hit his follow-up, because obviously he has both the guy in grave and the inclusion in grave. I'm hoping to use the Drill Beam to stop that. So if I can hit this only other follow-up in hand, I should win. So that green guy in there summons from hand. It's a pretty dead one. There's an Ash, so I'm like, that's no problem. And okay, I am mostly chilling. And face cluster comes down. My opponent probably shouldn't use cluster because I know I have Drill Beam in hand, and I very clearly kept myself set up to still use it. So I Drill Beam here, and I reveal Slime Toad in my hand, which obviously is not great, but it's fine. I keep the cluster pinned down. So he comes back, and we are back to chilling. I'm gonna draw Terror Top Return. Which is pretty good if they're able to clear their field, SP obviously being a little bit of a nuisance. I'm thinking here, what is the best thing I want to be stopping? My opponent normal summons the green dude, which I do not know the name, and uses the effect of his blue guy in grave. I'm sorry, the names are going to be hard for me. Chain Drill Beam to banish it. It also stops the blue guy from coming out. When it chains SP, which actually turns on their Terror Top, so it ends up being pretty good for them. This does mean that I know their last card in hand is Ash. Now, I have a Nibiru in my hand at this point. A Nibiru may be a weird summon because I had Typhon, or a weird read. I decided that it probably was worth baiting the talents for me to make Typhon, and my Nib would still be live later. Opponent goes Cherubini, send the Smiger, Smiger effect, and moves forward. Now, truthfully, I think what I should have done with this Drill Beam is wait for him to summon out his level 5 dude, and then drill. No, I can't Drill Beam it there because SP chains it. So my opponent here has Inclusion and Grave, which can bring back level 5 and send 2 more, which is a problem. And I think they forget about it this turn. But here they grab Inclusion off the Smiger, and they search, and then they pass, having already normal summoned. And I think that's where they make a big mistake. They forgot they could Inclusion still. I'm not sure if they can play that much past it, because they still can't get another body on field. But they can. They send Sulfenir come back, and then special from deck. Okay, so that's what they should have done. I would have nibbed them. But yeah, I don't like my play, actually, of the Drill Beam there. The Drill Beam is weird. It's really not that good. I'm wondering if I should just try holding it. I was banking my opponent misplaying, I guess, because they just revived off Inclusion. It would have been kind of rough. My Typhon comes back. I start by attacking over. And I think I forgot to... No, I never card in Great for Barrel. Oh, this is what happened. I knew I was going to summon Toad main phase 2. I should have normal Slime Toad main phase 1 and attack with Cherubini as well. It's just a stupid mistake of me. But yeah, main phase 2 I load and I get stopped. I'm like, okay, she does suck. I knew he had Ash, so a bit of a shame. I press forward, I get a Slime Toad out, normal Slime Toad from hand, get Toad. Now our Toad resource kind of lock, or I don't even want to call it, but that's set up. So I chill here, pass over to my opponents, and things don't look great for me. I do have a Typhon and a Toad, but that's it. I hit with Droplet, which will beat the Toad. I have the follow-up there, but that's it. However, they send the Inclusion away to Droplet both monsters, so Typhon's to get it as well. So now my Nib in my hand is live again. And I'm like, okay, this is now doable. Tristaros gets added from deck to hand, and then Inclusion brings back the level 5 blue dude. And they are back into the swing of things. But the Mirror here should be pretty good. They've already summoned once now, twice now, and before them to do anything crazy, they're going to have to summon a lot. With level 7, they get to add back 1, so adding back Cluster is pretty solid, but at this point, the Cluster may not do enough in the resource game against me if they do get nibbed. Tristaros comes down to pop their level 5, or level 7 is special from the deck. And this will give them access to their golden Sulfenir now. There's third in Cyber Dragon Infinity and Cyber Dragon Nova. Cyber Dragon Nova has the effect, though, they're sent to the graveyard due to an opponent. They can special summon a machine from their extra deck, Machine Fusion. So before this Nova is summoned, I summon the Nibiru. I'm not sure if this deck plays the Machine Fusion target like Mechaba off it, but I don't want to F around and find out. So I figured just negate this. I don't need to get an Infinity out of the deck or the Nova out of their deck. So Nibiru here. And they have no real play left. They use Sulfenir to summon special summon from the deck, but all I can do is summon Tristaros or Citri. Neither are too impressive to me. And they have to discard Cluster to do so, so that's like super chill. And I have follow-up now. Well, I have the Slime Toad, and I have an Ether Barrel, which is like... I mean, it's probably why it's good follow-up, so I'm chilling. The token is massive, so we're just calculating here. But I know that damn well if that thing hits me, I'm screwed. I draw for turn and add back my Ether Barrel this time. So I do want to kill the Citri first, so I know what I'm up against. I don't know this deck well enough to know what random target Citri can turn into, so I just want to deal with it and not have to play through any disruptions. I know the token there is still a problem I have to deal with later, but I'm not worried from this position. Even if the Toad or the load gets into an SP board like I did in the first round, it's fine. I get a third loadout, which is kind of funny because it makes my guys huge. I just swap Frog, which is fantastic because now I get to special summon. Oh no, I added it back. That's what I did off Toad, right? Yeah, now I get to make Toad. I bounce back the Nib off of the swap Frog, which is super cool. And then bring back the Ice Barrier. And I think I just make Toad. Do I make Toad or Drill Beam? I can't remember. Just Toad, right? Yeah. I make Toad and SP. That's what it is. I make IP here. I forgot to set off Drill Beam, which is a really stupid mistake. You see here, I chuckle for a second. I'm like, damn it, I'm a moron. And I pass back over. Because I added the Drill Beam to have the Drill Beam live. Or I added back the Roar for the Drill Beam to be live. Yeah, off the load. Stand by phase here. I special off Totally Awesome. This is also important because it's going to give me protection from Nibiru. He can't just turn into attack mode and thread an SP. He has to commit other bodies to the field. SP still probably will still come down, sacking off the Dupe Frog to banish the the token, but it's fine. Starts off by discarding for the Sulfonier. Discarding Incursion is pretty good because it's going to be another resource in his graveyard. But still, he is running out of Crystrons in deck, so I feel pretty comfortable that I can kind of outvalue him. I'm just going to wait for something opportune. Inclusion comes down, special summon. At this point, I can SP and then toe negate your Staros. He should kind of be out of things. He revives the Sulfonier again, starting level 7 Synchro. On the side now is a good time to just kind of rip it to shreds. Because then anything else happens, I should be good to go. The SP can tag out. Or he puts the second body on field. So yeah, make SP, target the token. Change, and then choose not to change the Staros here because they can Synchro for 7 now still. But I'm not that worried. My life points aren't low, so there's nothing that really scares me. And of course, no matter what happens, I also still have the Nibiru in hand. With the grind game of having low reload plus barrel plus the Toad add back, it should not be a problem. Here they go revive. I chain SP to dodge. They change the Staros, but I negate, and yeah, they just have nothing left. Add back Swap Frog, and again, I'm just big chillin', it's just the normal stuff, and we take away game number 1. So a bit of a doozy there, and I'm not really thrilled with how I played. I think both of us kind of played a little bit sloppy. Eventually got the Toad, we got to outgrind. Probably my cards are crazy, Toad is crazy, and we get there. Now we head into the side deck, and I'm thinking here, what do I want? I think I decided to put in Fuelos, Lancia, and back removal, Lightning Storm, and Duster. I want to deal with their cluster, but I also want Fuelos to keep them at bay to end on only a couple cards, because they some from extra a lot. They go full combo, as well as Lancia stops all the banish effects, which is pretty good. No Smiger or Phoenix and crew, or Staros or Inclusion. Into the third game, my opponent starts off with Inclusion. And again, it's letting it resolve. Again, I'm trying to stop this blue dude here. And you can argue that I should stop the Inclusion so they can't get to the blue card. But in this game, I had him permanent anyways. That's how I'm stopping it. Opponent presses forward with the same sort of play as last time. They normal the Smiger to head into the SP. I Fua on the normal summon because they go Clockwork Knight and I get extra draw. And I do need the draws. My hand isn't great, and I'm probably not getting a chance to use Fua anytime later. Fua draws Fua. I'm like, all right, well, that was meaningless, but I chill here, and it's my turn. I drew Ash Return, and I am looking okay. Start off with Prosperity. I want to look for Prime cards, obviously Drill Beam to pin down if it's face down's Inclusion. Or not Inclusion. Clutch should be pretty good. Start with Barrel then anyways after that. Opponent doesn't SP here, which means I can just crash if I need to. No 2 extra cards this time, so no Typhon. And I decide that I'm just going to attack, and I get hit with the Book of Eclipse on the attack. So, okay, I get another, I get a card out of his hand. I don't get the draw, however, because of Prosperity, so it's a little whatever. I had an Ash in hand, so I debated ashing it, but I'm like, the SP is not that important. Ash is pretty good against this deck. I can Ash the guy in his grave again, and that's all I really care about. So I press forward, I summon the Slime Toad from my deck, set a card face down, and my turn. With the Drill Beam live because I have the Toad there. See the Nibiru in my opponent's hand. It's funny because my deck does not summon that much. If I go full combo, then Nibiru can be a problem. I'm going to start off with Prosperity, and I think in hindsight I should not interact with this because this deck has limited number of searches. If I stop the cards that he adds instead with Drill Beam and Ash, it's better. And I believe I actually let it go through. Good. So I make the play that I do now. So I'm leaving this play. Now, why this matters is normally I would say you Ash Prosperity. That's the card you want to Ash. You know the matchup. And then you know there's a specific card in the deck you want to Ash. That's like a choke point in the deck. If you hold it for that, no matter what his other cards are, then there's a limit to what he can do. So between the Drill Beam and the Ash, I save those for his Incursion and Blue Dude in Graveyard. I feel super confident. So opponent adds the Cluster, not the Inclusion Grave. The Smiger is what I care about. The Smiger adding Inclusion. So for Smiger, it does grab an Inclusion there, which is going to be some follow-up. And I want to banish the Inclusion with Drill Beam, because last game he got to cycle through all these, and I don't want this card in the graveyard to keep giving my opponent infinite resources. I want them to use it very well. But it also means that he can't use the blue guide to revive unless he has another one in his hand that he can pop with. Or he has to use the Inclusion in his grave and then have only one left. Manages to revive the blue dude. I can Ash this like I wanted to. So okay, now I feel pretty comfortable. Needs more extenders to push. Attacks both and passes. Okay, now I get to continue my grind. I draw, get back my barrel. I normal summon the barrel here. I use the effect, trying to bait the SP again, but nothing comes down. So, all right, get another load. I'll keep pressing the advantage. This isn't that important. I reset the drill beam. I'm not worried about the SP tagging out here because if it tags out, then it's super easy for me to just get into the totally awesome. Now, what's important to remember here is roar special summons from the deck only. So while it may seem like, oh, I just go barrel send itself, send slime toad from deck to grave, and then roar summon one from grave, load summon the other, roar only summons from deck. So if I do that, I actually don't have any toads left in deck to summon off of roar. So I kind of want him an SP here, but if he doesn't, it's not the end of the world. I get to attack over the SP, and it's fine. Opponent uses cluster though to pop it, really protecting the SP here, which I'm fine with. Kind of let it all happen. He shovels back one of the inclusions, so it's still nice that it's not on the grave, but it does mean that resource game wise, there's going to be one more inclusion to deal with if the game belongs any further. I press forward with a drill with the loady load, add another drill beam. Here I can just banish the cluster, so I'm not going to have to deal with that every turn. Obviously, if that's going to be a long-term problem, I am not happy with that. A drill beam banish, and then I pass over back to him. With the drill beam still set, I still have something to deal with here. And with the blue guy stuck in his field, unless he links away his SP, it's not doing too much. So while it looks like I'm kind of just sitting here doing nothing, the Primite cards still keep me in pretty healthy control of the game, and eventually I should be able to access a Primite card, or Toad rather. Because battle phase attacks and everything, and I eat it. I'm like, no problemo. Next turn, Toad should be live because I'll be able to roar for the second slime Toad, and then even the one on my grave, I am good to go. Or oh, did I summon? I made the mistake of summoning Toad from the deck off loady load, so I couldn't even do that. Okay, so I think I maybe made a mistake. I'm not sure. Yeah, I probably could have made Toad here, but still, the drill beam Genjutsu should keep them at bay. They have nothing left. I realize here that I should have summoned Slime Toad, but the attack of Tomborg would have just attacked over it. Doesn't make too much of a difference, I guess. It means the attack of Tomborg can't go to defense. Keeps it in attack mode anyway, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, I reset the drill beams here, and I'm just kind of playing the long haul game. Eventually going to see more frogs to access what I need. Here, though, I do revive off loady load, forced into attack. I draw 2 cards. To discard in the end phase, go to Fua. I just swap frog here, so now, like, I mean, okay, I'm not losing this game. I have drill beam, I have hand traps. Now I think at this point I have like Ash Veiler Nib to his nothing. But yeah, the swap frog now will let me get into all of my totally awesomes. Ironically though, my back row is full, so I can't even make double Toad. I just make the one Toad, and I'm like, this is fine. Yeah. Now this deck doesn't kill like that, so I do have to take a little bit of time and just deal 38 now, and then pass back over. But yeah, I have Toad, I have Nib, I have drill beam. Like this game is not losable for me in this position. It's the Primite cards chewing away at every card my opponent has. Stand by phase, get swap frog, pass back over. Get Kaiju'd on my Toad. I'm like, oh, okay. Add back. Value. Bonus summon Citry and passes over. I'm like, all right, drill beam this in the end phase. And I can make Toad again. The Toad does never end. Then he concedes here, but I can still make Toad again. My normal summon swap frog. Then use the mirror mage or the chains in my hand. 3 Toads, baby. So yeah, the onslaught of frogs eventually outnumbers the opponent. Totally awesome, isn't it? All right, heading into our last round, we end up playing against our friend Assad, who is on Tenpai Fiendsmith. Scary because Tenpai is Tenpai, but the Fiendsmith cards I feel fine against. I do have a number of Bistrols in my deck, which I know can do quite well here. And I'm able to pull off my Bistral plus Swap Frog combo to bounce back a Bistral, kind of like I did with my Nibiru against Crystron, and I can get some crazy value in against the otherwise best value engine in the game, Fiendsmith. I win the roll and go first, even though it's Tenpai, it's my friend, I'm not going to make him go first, and I break. No Primate, no Frog, so I set 1 pass. Opponent starts out with Race Off, and I have to deliberate here for a second. I Ash. Well, okay, I don't deliberate, but we're at a junction here. And I'm like, okay, well, if he gets like Unicorn Fenrir kind of rolling and I am bricked, I'm never going to get out of the brick, which is a problem. In simplified game states, when you have minimal engine cards, cash cards are so brutal. I have to hope that Assad's hand is full of hand traps like Charmies. And then my other interruptions, I think I have Nibiru in hand, can keep me alive, like Nibiru Veiler. So I'm like, okay, I have to hope that this is enough to keep him at bay. I can call by a Fiendsmith card, so I'll be able to keep off that amount of of engine. But if he has a Genroku or a Kaiman, I die. So I'm like, okay. Someone's Fenrir, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess ashing the race off didn't work out. Then he goes battle phase, activate Kaiman. I'm like, yep. If I had Ash for that, I would have lived, but I still would have struggled versus the Fenrir, which is the problem, and the Unicorn. Heading into game 2, playing a simple, side out some cards, throw in some Solemns, and press forward. I start off with a nice load, get a Roar to go into Toad, and I get Drolled, and I'm like, cool, I don't care. I special summon Slime Toad, get a second one off Load, and nice value, 1 card, totally awesome. God, does it feel good. And I think I already had Drill Beam in hand as well, so I was like, big chilling here. I'm gonna get 2 sets, 2 cards face down, and pass. I think I have Drill Beam Strike, so I feel pretty comfortable that I have 3 Omni Negates in his 5-card hand, which most decks will struggle against. I have good follow-up as well. I can Dupe Frog here because if there's Kashtira cards, I don't have to just attack over Toad. I need him to attack the Dupe Frog, and if he uses Fenrir's effect, then I can interact with it with like Strike or whatever. Also forcing the battle phase, which is nice. I'll start with Tract, and okay, that's no problem. I think I had a best shield at this point as well for Fiends in the card, so I wasn't really concerned about this either. I see he's thumbing the Engraver in the Lurry, and oh, he's trolling me. This is my friend. He likes to troll. Or what the hell's idea was. He adds Engraver and discards Nibiru. And Nibiru is not very good against my deck. Like, it can high roll me, but it's not very good. I'm not sure exactly why he did that, but alright. Normal's Lacrima, and I'm debating here, like, I can Drill Beam this, and, like, obviously it's high value. I'm trying to think, what the hell's in his hand? I'm like, I don't know. I'm maybe end his turn here. I have Drill Beam for the what's it called? Sanguine Summoning, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care about this. I know we can add from deck to hand. Like, surely he doesn't add Sanct. If he does add Sanct, then I still have Drill Beam for it and Strike. I'm like, I'm not, like, I'll just let him do this. So I steal Lacrima. That way he can't keep reviving things. I get the add back, and the Toads will duplicate, so it's not a problem. Passes back. I maintain the Drill Beam. I'm like, okay, that one's not the biggest deal. I don't have a Barrel Engrave, so I can't cycle this endlessly, which is also why using the Drill Beam does matter. I can't just keep getting it back. Yeah, I get to present a Toad to Breezy, and the Toad is entirely free, right? Like, I didn't actually lose anything there. That being said, I didn't get to progress too much game state because I don't have Barrel. I just got to attack for a little bit and call it a turn. If I summoned Swap Frog instead, it would have been a little more impressive, but I did not have one. I summoned Magnema here, and I can't Toad, unfortunately. It would have been awesome to send the Dupe Frog for Toad, because I used Lord Lode's effect. I have to use something else. I decided to Strike it to preserve the Drill Beam. Obviously, if I had the ability to reset it, it would have been fantastic, but I don't, so I'll have to pass back over. Then my face, get Swap Frog out, which will just make the Toad add back even better. Get the Freezing Chains, so I still have the extra negate, and I'm fine here. I still have 2 on me, still have the Bestial for the cards in grave. I'm not that worried. Now Track comes down, I'm like, there's still going to be a Lurry there. I'm like, okay, this is fine, probably. I have his Lacrima stolen here, so he can't Requiem for Lacrima, which is important. He brings it back, goes for the Requiem, and then can special summon Engraver from the deck. So I'm like, all right, no problem. Engraver shovels back Lurry, brings itself back. And from here, I'm like, all right, nothing here really threatens me. Like, if he goes try to pop Toad, I can negate, banish, or I can steal. Like, I'm not concerned either way. Makes Neck Equip instead, though, so maybe trying to get a draw at some point, but I'm not going to play into that, given the extra draws. None of this actually is scary to me. Makes SP, try banish the Drill. He's trying to force it out. I'm like, I want to chain this, because if I chain it, he can chain SP, and it doesn't skip his battle phase. The only way losing is dying. But I'm like, you know what? Like, it's fine. Like, I don't mind wasting a couple of cards. I'm going to Toad and just try and get the SP off the field. Like, I don't think he has Tenpai cards given the situation. I still have the Drill Beam either way, which is all I really care about. Using Drill Beam would have been terrible because then you can obviously chain target Toad. Instead, he SP banishes Lacrima because he thinks he can get it back, but we went afterwards, he didn't. Normal summons for the 5th time, and I drop Nib here. I do this on summon because he wants to go battle phase and summon in the battle phase to dodge Veiler, but if I Nib here, if he specials from the deck, then I can Veiler in the main phase still. I'm pretty sure that's what I have. That's why I did this, even in the main phase. Now, I'm not sure here if Nib makes my Dupe Frog miss timing. I don't use the effect here, I just add off Toad. You guys can tell me if Nib is simultaneous. I don't think it is. I'm pretty sure Dupe Frog misses timing when I summon it, but yeah. I summon out my Nibiru, and end phase brings back the card, and we have a ruling situation for a second, just confirming that I get the Lacrima back and not my opponent. Eventually we resolve it. I take the Lacrima. Like, all right, it's mine. And then in the end phase, because the SP's already been used, I just Drill Beam it away, banishing the Drill Beam I already have in my hand, knowing that damn well that I can clean up the rest of this pretty easily come next turn, now that I've swapped Frog. I summon out my Freezing Chains, or my Mirror Mage, send Swap Frog, send Substitute, just in the deck, trying to draw better cards. At this point, at the very least, I have Drill Beam, and I can summon Slime Toad with the Totally Awesome next to it. I'm not concerned. At this point, I have game. I'm just debating if my opponent has Nibiru in hand, because I know it's in his deck, right? Like, you saw game 1. What I can do is I can go for Charmers, go for lethal that way. I can go for Swap Frog, bounce back Nibiru. I can make Toad, then go for lethal. I decided to go for Toad, and I'm like, all right, Toad plus Charmer should be lethal. No way about it. So yeah, summon Druid Worm and go for Dark, send it off. I also could have gone summon the Druid Worm and bounce it back on Swap Frog, but I'm like, you know, there's no way that the last 2 cards are in hand traps, and if it is, then I have Drill Beam and I'm fine. I go for game. Summon Dark, send that, summon the Magnum up back. Magnum also gives me disruption, it just concedes. So game number 2 in our favor. Going first versus Tenpai. I'm fine. It's just, yeah, the brick. Game 1 definitely set us back. Now going into game 3, I side out Nibiru's for Bells, I think. Now, I don't really know if this is correct or why. I figured like maybe it's good versus Fiendsmith cards or to stop Lacrima on my turn. Fu was in for Fiendsmith cards. And yeah, which maybe is too much, because if we get into a grind game versus Fiendsmith cards, I'll have a lot of dead cards in my deck, which is a problem. But I want to make sure that I don't get blitzed game 1. Or when they go first, there's a board I can't beat. So I'm not fully sure about how this plays out, but yeah, that's how I side. And let's head into game number 3. Sod starts off with an Engraver, grabbing Attract. So Fiendsmith cards are going to be in play here. I believe I do open up Baldrake and Saronir, or maybe just one Bestial, but I do have a Bestial. I know, so I can kind of keep this at bay. Suppose I know I have a Bell this entire time as well. Goes into the Requiem. And then gets to special summon from the deck the Lacrima, and, you know, just generate all those resources that all those Fiendsmith players love. And I'm going to be patient here. I'm not sure exactly what I want to stop. I don't know how much I mind the Desiree. I can bell right, a sequence. That doesn't matter that much. The bigger problem is going to be the Caesar, if anything. But with 2 Bestials, I decide to just Saronir the Engraver. And be like, okay, this is not a problem. I have the second Bestial for the Requiem. Requiem gets equipped, and someone's not equipped. So I'll go through thinking I may want the second Bestial for something else later, but no. Almost wants Pydra, which doesn't matter too much here. Grabs a field spell, and then gets to add from deck to hand, discarding a Fugalos, which I imagine was there for crossout. He said it was there for crossout, but keep in mind, crossout's at 1 now, so I don't love keeping that in game 3. I think Assad should have just not, but yeah. Genroku special summons from the deck Vadra, just back Genroku, and then he ends on like the cool field, the Chromatic Seal with the Genroku still there, so I can quick synchro my turn. I think I have Drill Beam at this point though, so I want to bait Assad into summoning Chandra from the deck so that I can Drill Beam it. So what I do is go like battle phase almost immediately, trying to force out his monsters. I also want to get rid of this Necroquip because it could draw him a card. Bounces back his field spell, specials from deck, and then decides to get Magnum instead, continue the grind game instead of synchroning the battle phase, which does make it a bit harder for me to banish his Chandra. Obviously, I want to just snipe this now. Gets Mag. I don't know why someone didn't attack it, so I switch it back to defense. And then I get to redeclare and swing at the Genroku. I just first swing Necroquip and then realize, wait, no, show Genroku because I want to bait out the Fadra or Chandra. Fadra's already gone, and this deck probably doesn't play 2 Fadras, so if I can eat through the Tenpai engine and just play with the Fiendsmith cards, I'm pretty comfortable with how my deck can play. That's a die though, so I'm like, alright, he is kind of privy to my plan. I get to add a Drill Beam off of Loaded Load because I already have one. I decided out both Primite Roars in this case. Or I already had them. I don't recall exactly. Maybe I didn't have a second Pistol. Honestly, I'm not sure. I don't remember where I played with this. So I have Mirror Mage in hand. I have a Mirror Mage. I have Freezing Curses in hand, which is pretty bad. Is that what it's called? I don't want to keep calling it Freezing Curses. That's a runing card. Freezing Chains, maybe. Anyways, yeah, I summoned the load here. Maybe I didn't have a second Bestial. I honestly don't remember. I don't think I did. And I'm not sure if I Bestialed the right card. Probably should have Bestialed Requiem on turn 1 to prevent Caesar and just let the Engraver come back. I guess he probably plays 2 Requiems though, so I'm not sure. I think those were the kind of going through my head. And then I go effect of load, summon out my Toad, and I get hit with a Desiree to send. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. And he can pop one of my cards. If he goes for a back row, then that's fine. Say goes for Slime Toad to try to turn off my Drill Beam, but I don't have a problem with that. That's okay. What it also does though is it means I can't like IP into SP that easily, which is what I was going for otherwise. Debating here if I want to go SP for the extra interruption or just leave what I have on the field. And I think I decided to just go for SP. Even though that he has the field spell in hand, I decide that, okay, if my opponent goes battle phase, I can go Drill Beam on a guy and then force the quick Synchro, and then I can Bell the Synchro, and that can stop the Chandra from resolving if he has like Chandra Hydra, for example, and that'll keep me alive. At this point, also importantly, it's important to note that Assad doesn't have any Engraver engrave, but he drew one. I don't know if Return already had one, but it does mean that the Fiendsmith cards are back, and I was kind of counting on those not being there. Goes into Requiem again, and the onslaught of Fiendsmith cards continues. Comes back, shuffles back the Lacrima, and then summons it off of Engraver, or if Requiem summons the Engraver. At this point, is presenting a Chaos Angel situation. Probably should have made it with the Magnemite, but I want to let it happen because if I have to Drill Beam that, that's okay. But at least force out the Chaos Angel and I can eat 2 cards. So he goes after the Drill Beam, but I have a second one, so I'm like, do I just hold it, or do I use it here? And I'm like, you know what? Let me just hold it. I can save the SP, save the Drill Beam, stick to the plan where I force the battle phase, I Drill Beam, I have Bell, I have SP, and it's good enough. And Assad here can kind of see that something is up, Drill Beam is saved, doesn't want to commit into it. He normals the Hydra and uses the effect, and hasn't used the field spell at this point. So I think he's worried about that getting Drill Beamed. So I'm like, okay, if I SP this, then I can just hit the in the battle phase, the Chandra. It's going to be hard for me to quick synchro out of it. Or hit the Kaiman, but probably the Chandra. He has the Mag on the field, so can't quick synchro. I'd probably have to hit the Kaiman if he just goes Kaiman in battle phase, but still. I'm not sure why he thinks here for a second. It's always Kaiman. He already has field spell in hand. But he just attacks and calls it a turn. Activates Sangan summoning and then gets to add from deck to hand just to filter out a card. I mean, this is all kind of relevant here. It's just kind of nothingness. I'm like, it's like bait for my Drill Beam, but yeah, I'm not biting, obviously. It's to just throw a card in grave or a Hydra for next turn. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, he grabs a Chandra for next turn. Whatever. Can't be used now. And then discards the Ash Blossom. Having seen it not do much against me at this point. I mean, I had no really way to play into it at this point. I didn't really have any of the Toad cards. It was kind of just hold it on as long as I could. Enters the battle phase and uses Kaiman to special summon from hand. And I'm like, obviously I have to Drill Beam this. If I don't Drill Beam here, then he can chain the Chandra to Synchro, which is a problem. I'm like, okay, at this point, if I do this in the battle phase, I'm safe. So I Drill Beam the Kaiman. And the Chandra's still going to be a problem next turn, but if I can reset the Drill Beam, then I'm going to have him in the same predicament as next turn, hopefully, or as last turn. And I can actually win this grind game here. So 8 to 35 from Chaos Angel, which isn't like the end of the world. And then main phase 2, I'm presented with the possibility of an SP. And it does come down to banish my Lordy Load, so it's going to be one less resource that I have access to. Now, arguably, SP should have banished the Drill Beam in my grave, although he doesn't know that I only played 2 copies. He does get back his Hydra, I get back my SP, and I'm in an interesting position. I add back my Other Barrel, and it gets Callbide. And I have Bell here, right? So as I said, I'm thinking, do I Bell this? But no, I want to Bell on sequence, or an Engraver or something next turn. And I have Lordy Load in hand already, so it doesn't matter too much. Like, the barrel set doesn't matter. All it does is get me another load. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just let this happen. Okay, let's let that happen. It just takes a second for me to kind of confirm it, but I'm like, okay. I go load next. If he chains SP, then I get to add from deck to hand, roar and make Toad and swing over the SP because I can chain my SP to banish his Hydra and SP keeping his alive, his SP there. So I add barrel. And then I'm not going to use the effect. I'm just going to normal summon, and because I have the thing engraved, my guy's bigger, and I get to swing over the SP he has there. It is important to note, however, that I can't attack over Hydro unless I want to crash, and I maybe should, but I decide against it here because what I can do instead is in main phase 2 go for a Dark Charmer. Now, I really wish at this point I played 2 SP, and it's entirely reasonable because my extra deck is full of garbage that I really don't summon like ever. Second SP may come up because yeah, I want to Dark Ear Steel the Magnum, get a Bestial because I'm expecting to play this type of grind game. And like, where do I go from here? I'm like, you know what, let me go into Typhon. Just that way I can keep clearing monsters off the field. So first I'm going to Slime Toad, then get into Typhon. Oh, Typhon, what it does is it stops Trident Dragon, I guess. Why don't I go Typhon? I don't know. It stops my own Nibiru. Why did I go Typhon? I'm trying to think for a second. I went Typhon. What does it stop? Because all it does is tell my opponent I don't have Nib, which is bad. I think I shouldn't have made Typhon. Because Chaos Angel's already gone, right? The thing is, it could prevent a Chaos Angel. It'd be better, but Chaos Angel's gone. The one reason to do it, it's gone. What other card is it preventing? So the other thing is I can make IP to bluff second SP. Yeah, I'm not sure. All right. End phase, Lacrima comes down, and I can't prevent that with the Baldrake I search here because I Typhoned myself, which, I mean, at the end of the world, I didn't need to banish this Requiem, although it wouldn't have been bad by any means. Yeah, I don't know. Because again, I expect 2 Requiems in my opponent's decks in this type of format. Opponent starts off with Special Summoning Chandra, and with the field spell up, this is going to be a bit of a problem for me. I decide that I want to get my Baldrake up probably as soon as possible. That way I can just try and go like Baldrake, banish a guy, chain, Drill Beam to banish the field spell, and like catch him that way. So I Baldrake chain the hit the Desiree. That way I can also stop him going sequence. The problem is if he goes Engraver off of Requiem and then equips the Requiem, he could just pop the what's it called? Baldrake, and I'm kind of screwed. This is where if I had a second IP or I had IP into a second SP, I'd actually be in like a really good position, ironically, and would have made all the difference. But now instead, if my opponent plays good, I'm kind of boned. Engraver comes back, as mentioned, and it looks a little bit bleak for me. If they go sequence, then Bell stops it, and I'm honestly fine. But Engraver does check the Baldrake and puts me in a bad spot. It can also target the Slime Toad, which I'm hoping he goes for because I think I'm still live on Drill Beam even without it. I target the Baldrake and I have to think, how do I win this game? If I Drill Beam the Engraver here, it keeps the Baldrake alive. I can maybe bluff that I have something else going on, but there's no like real true way to win here. If I hold the Drill Beam, he can make his Super Transcendent Dragon, and even though it can't activate because of Typhon, it still blocks me in the battle phase, and I can't Drill Beam it because of the field spell. And in battle phase, I can't use card effects, so I do just die to everything else coming back. So I am kind of damned if I do, damned if I don't in this position. And obviously he gets to go Biden to revive Fadra, then revive Chandra, so it would still have the Chandra up or any level 3. So you'd have like 15,000 damage. I decide to Drill Beam and just put him on, making a bad read or misplaying. This is where maybe me having Nibiru would have helped. No, it wouldn't have mattered because then Drill Beam plus Nibiru would have like saved me. Yeah. And now I just make the Synchro unchecked. Back Fadra. I can't Bell here either. The Bell's stuck in my hand the entire game. I'm really hoping it would get there. Makes the level 10, and now even though I can Bell now in the battle phase, the level 10 stops me from belling. So yeah, we are just kind of boned. Battle phase is to attack over everything one by one, and piece by piece I do get ripped to shreds. Effective Synchro, level 10 comes out. I'm no longer able to do anything, and even though it can't activate, it's not a problem. Pops last back row. It's the freezing chains you guys saw earlier in the game. Go back is mag, and then yeah, battle phase again. Trident, pop both, and game. He pops his own thing, so I could have belled it, but like obviously I'm just dead. I think I drew Fu at one point for turn as well, and I had the freezing chains. So like if I had live cards at any point there, I'm probably able to win. Or if I had IP, sorry, a second SP. It's a very close game that I think I was almost able to win. I probably could have played a little bit differently. So could my opponent, perhaps. Unfortunately, that means though we end 2-2 with frogs. Sag. Stick out my tongue like totally awesome. That's fine though. I still had a ton of fun playing this deck. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching it too. It was super fun playing a different type of rogue deck here that is, at least I haven't seen. So if you want something different and still want to summon totally awesome, but not with Bahamut and not with Paleos, then give this deck a try. Obviously, it can use a lot of work, and you can reform it to your own liking. Extra deck specifically, my extra deck was terrible. So please reconsider other options. Have fun! As well, if you like this content, you guys know what to do. Sub, and then let me know down below what fun decks you want to see in the future, because I'm not opposed to trolling a bit on locals. But that's all for now. I'll see you next time. Peace.